Well, thank you for coming, everyone. I'm Connie Pillich. I represent the 28th District, Southwest Ohio, and the northern suburbs of Cincinnati. I'm here today to talk about some legislation that I'm introducing to increase the oversight and accountability of the Inspector General Office of the state of Ohio. Recent activities have brought attention to this office and the need for a greater distance from political partisanship by the state's top watchdog. The nature of the Inspector General's office is to oversee the activities of the executive branch and to weed out corruption and fraud, wrongdoing, pay to play, those sorts of things. Basically, the IG is entrusted by the public to make sure that our government is run honestly, because the public pays for this function. Unfortunately, partisanship by anybody in the Inspector General's office can breach this public trust, and it's unacceptable. And you're probably all aware of the recent activity of the Inspector General, Randy Meyer, when he participated in a Republican fundraiser recently. I can't think of anything more partisan than attending a fundraiser for a political party. And this breach of the public trust is particularly relevant right now because the public has a lot of distrust of government. The public expresses a view that government's not doing its job, that people are in this for personal gain, that they're rewarding their friends. And this is not true, not just at the federal level, but also at the state level as well. And for that reason, the Inspector General must maintain scrupulous standards of ethics and must show impartiality. And this goes beyond just showing impartiality, must avoid even the appearance of improper behavior. So because of Inspector General Meyer's appearance at this fundraiser, I think it raises serious concerns over his ability to be impartial. And Governor Kasich has not opted to do anything about this. This is why I'm introducing this legislation. There are a couple of things I want to point out to you from my notes. We're not sure that the Inspector General is really doing a good job because he's only conducted 12 investigative reports since 2007. Pardon me, that was the fewest reports out of that office since 2007. This was from the Columbus Dispatch. An investigation was requested regarding a possible conflict of interest between Ohio Superintendent Stan Hefner and one of the nation's largest education testing companies. No action has been taken, as far as we can tell. There was a question, the Inspector General is supposed to look into these things and help us figure out if there's a propriety. There was a question presented that former House Speaker and current chair of the Casino Commission, Joanne Davidson, that a relative of hers is employed at the Inspector General's office. Now, certainly the IG will be inspecting the Casino Commission. What will be done to make sure that there's nothing improper by having a relative take part in that inspection? Most recently, the Cleveland Plain dealer uncovered the hiring of Mr. Meyer's son by ODOT. That's an agency that the Inspector General oversees. And so my legislation is going to address these things as well as the impropriety of Mr. Meyer attending and participating in a partisan political fundraiser. It's going to provide the necessary distance from political activities to make sure that the Inspector General can effectively and objectively investigate wrongdoing by state officials. And here's how it does it. It takes away the appointing authority from the governor and gives it to the four legislative leaders. So that would be the President of the Senate, Speaker of the House, and the minority leaders of each chamber. The appointment must be approved by 3 of the 4 voters. The bipartisan appointing authority will ensure that Ohio has a strong watchdog and not a partisan lapdog. In addition, the term of the IG will be stretched out to 6 years, so that everyone on the appointing authority, those 4 legislative leaders, understand that leadership can change across the state during the term of the IG. So they had better pick someone who's going to be fair no matter who's in charge. The bill also adopts the same restrictions on political activity that's currently written into the Ohio Administrative Code, puts this into the revised code, and it will apply it to all employees of the IG, including the Inspector General himself or herself. So that's the gist of the bill. Not a real complicated bill. Certainly this topic has been approached in the past. Senator Bacon, when he was a state representative, introduced something similar in 2008. This bill is a little bit of a, in my opinion, an improvement on that bill. So I'm happy to take any questions.
How does this compare to past versions of a similar bill?
The only version that I saw was House Bill 576, which was then State Representative Bacon's bill. That bill had the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court appointing the Inspector General. It had did not have the 6-year term, and it did not extend the prohibitions on political activity to all members of the Inspector General staff. So this goes a little bit beyond it.
It may be obvious to you, I wonder if you could just voice this. What's the matter with having a governor appoint the IG?
All right, well, in my opinion, the Inspector General is one of the most important parts of our checks and balances. Now, obviously, we have the 3 branches of government that help each other, but within the executive branch, the Inspector General is required to be a watchdog. If the governor is appointing his own watchdog, there's not a necessary distance. You remove that checks and balance. I mean, it'd be great if I could appoint my own watchdog to look over me, but that wouldn't be lend as much trust to the public if a different body were to appoint that watchdog. And in addition, we got 4 legislative leaders, so by definition, there will be 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats on this appointing authority. And 3 out of the 4 have to agree. So that removes the possibility of appointing someone who's just a political hack. It removes the possibility of appointing someone who's not going to please both sides of the aisle. And I think the public really wants us to work together. I hear that all through my district. We don't trust government because it's all political. It's all trying to line their own pockets. This way, we have 2 parties coming together, and they have to agree on an independent person. You know, when I was in the military, we had an Inspector General too. And the Inspector General performs the same services at the state level as it does in the military level. It serves as a way for the small person to complain, for someone independent to investigate, someone who's not at risk of losing their job just because they make a finding, and whose career is not going to be based on how they make a decision. It's really, really important that we have a lot of distance between the executive branch and who appoints this Inspector General.
Yeah, I understand how you think this violates the principle that whoever's being watchdog should not appoint the watchdog. I get that. But by having a legislature or a legislative branch group appoint the Inspector General, don't you run into violating another principle, which is you're having one branch of government, in effect, watch over the other branch, and they're supposed to be co-equal?
Well, of course, the 3 branches of government have equal roles in our state, but the 3 branches of government also have, by definition, the duty to create checks and balances on one another. We write laws, we pass them, the governor has the veto authority. The governor signs them, the Supreme Court has the ability to change these laws. If the Supreme Court does something we don't like, we have the ability to write a new law. The people, of course, have the ultimate veto authority by not electing us or by amending the Constitution. I think it's critically important that we make sure that these checks and balances are fair and that they are administered fairly. I think the public really expects us to do that. And having a bipartisan group, I thought, was the best way to make sure we get someone fair and impartial in there.
Do you have a bill number yet?
No, the bill's still at LSC. I'm assuming it's there already, but it's not. I've not seen the final version.
Have you gotten any sense of whether Republicans are going to support this bill?
Well, I really hope they do, because it will make us all look better. It will make us all look like we're trying to regain the public's trust. And frankly, this is not a Democratic bill. Senator Bacon's a Republican. He introduced the last version. So I believe that both sides of the aisle would benefit. You know, it's very rare that we come together on bills, other than fluff pieces like license plates and important days of the year. But so to do something substantive like this to help restore the public trust and show that there are times we do work together and it's not all about politics, I think it would be smart for us all to support this bill.
But up till now, wouldn't you have to concede that through several different governors, one governor, I think, reappointing the IG from another governor, hasn't the system worked pretty well until now? With, I understand your eyes not this latest one, but haven't all the rest worked out pretty well?
Well, I know this is my second term, so I've got 3 big, long years of experience under my belt, but I really haven't been involved in politics for very long. So I don't know what those other inspector generals did. And before I started waking up and paying attention to state politics, I didn't follow it. So I don't know, but I do know that when the inspector general participates in a partisan political event, he's not doing his job, and he has breached the public trust. So and the governor apparently doesn't see a problem with him helping raise money for his party. But I think it's completely wrong. I think the inspector general ought to be far and away removed from that activity. That's why I introduced the bill.